Why do people seem to have a general apathy towards Brittany Griner? Russia, for better or for worse, is its own sovereign nation. Going to another country and A. choosing to commit a crime and B. wanting to apply U.S. standards of punishment for said crime is stupid. She is by no stretch the only American imprisoned in Russia for drug crimes. The idea that the U.S. would even consider trading a man literally called the Lord of War for his crimes in order to get a basketball player who wasn't smart enough to not commit a crime in a dictatorial country, while simultaneously leaving a teacher convicted of the same crime to rot for life, and not releasing their own citizens imprisoned in their own country for the same crime, is absurd. She knew the risks. Because the conversation is about trading her freedom for an agreement by the U.S. to release a specific Russian arms dealer who has been the catalyst for untold violence and death. They view the drug offenders in the U.S. as somehow different, even though the drug trade in the U.S. is also the source of lots of violence. My antipathy is because I understand that it's a complicated situation that isn't really easily fixable. She was arrested on 2 vape cartridges with hashish oil. While she pled guilty, it isn't known whether she has actually admitted to them being hers. Because Russia is not above planting stuff, or claiming to find stuff, her attorneys felt that she should plead guilty in the hope of leniency in sentencing. Because she was going to be found guilty anyway. Because Russia, I think it's not unlikely that Russia has acted more harshly regarding her, either planting drugs or just not being as kind as they might otherwise be, because they want to use her as a bargaining chip to get a high-value asset back. That said, the U.S. has to be careful how it spends its political capital. Is this individual worth spending goodwill, releasing a more dangerous person, etc.? Historically, the U.S. does not intervene in the legal system of other nations. Even when it affects U.S. citizens, they will do their best to check in with them, make sure they are treated equally, but will make no effort to get them out. Exceptions are when, somehow, they become a cause célèbre and people in the U.S. want the government to take action. Then the government may feel that the political capital is well spent. Examples of this often include use of free speech in countries that don't have that. One semi-famous one was an ex-soldier who took guns to Mexico and was arrested. He was eventually released due to political pressure. In Griner's case, I think it comes down to several things. 1. Half the people are all, she took drugs there. To heck with her. 2. A lot of people really have no idea who she is. WNBA isn't well known. It's not as if she is a household name like the tennis Williams sisters. 3. There's probably some aspect of racism or dislike of LGBTQ people. Or both. TBH, my first thought when I heard about it was Russia knew who she was and made up the drug thing to use her as a political prisoner. I don't think she would be dumb enough to bring THC cartridges over international borders. I don't get why we are all just immediately assuming that the Russian political justice system was fair and truthful. She was warned not to go at all and then proceeded to give them a reason to arrest her. Should anyone get 10 years for a vape pen? No. Are there people who have done a similar amount of time for drug possession in the U.S.? Yes. If she weren't famous, would anyone care? No. There are plenty of Americans in Russian prisons right now. Why should the American government give up an arms dealer to get her out of prison? Why is this Biden's fault? Why should I care more about Griner than anyone else in a Russian prison? Because we know that if it were one of us, aka a normal person, they would be left to rot for the entire span. But because she was born to be super tall and paid millions of dollars to play a children's game, Somehow the US should bend over backwards to bring her back? I think the US should get their citizens who've been wrongly imprisoned home in general. Not just when they happen to play basketball for the Women's League. The internet is not a hive mind. The people saying, we need to be focused on releasing the literal thousands of people unjustly imprisoned due to pot in the US, are not the same people saying she needs to do the time for her crime. There isn't much we can do about it without trading war criminals or risking a war. She isn't worth that. Not really any celeb or common person is. So people will give a quick opinion and move on. Everyone but the don't do the crime, standard law and order thumpers have sympathy. It's not really anything to dwell on. You can't help the situation. Probably just advocate to avoid going to Russia, China, and open, enemy states. 9 years ridiculous. America is still jailing people for the same crime. I don't even think anyone should be certain she had the vapes. Russia could and would plant and force admittance for advantages of any kind. The situation sucks. But there is no real solution unless they request a celeb or something as a trade. What Reddit are you on? Every post about her is mostly people saying that it's her fault for breaking their law. Just like this one. I think most people would agree that it's a monstrous and excessive punishment. However, it is such a stupid thing to do to go to a known hostile regime with illegal drugs that people cannot relate to it. I'm not glad she's in jail, but she's an adult with access to information that would have told her not to bring a vape pen into the country. Her celebrity doesn't qualify her for any more or less sympathy. For me, she wrote the tune so she has to dance to it. She committed a crime in a foreign country and got caught. Because two things are true. She made a mistake, but she's also wrongly imprisoned and the sentence doesn't fit the crime. Apathy towards who? At least for me, it's because she put herself in the situation. This isn't some made-up charge. It being trumped is another issue entirely. Hash, weed, etc. is illegal in Russia. End of conversation. Had she followed the law, she wouldn't be in this position. It's tough to have empathy for someone who is completely responsible for what happened to them. When you head to a different country, you have to do better. Especially a country that is not friendly towards Americans nor POC. Yes, we feel bad for her, but she did it to herself. The consequences are dire for her F-up. Since we know Russia has a history of planting drugs on people, I don't have any confidence that she actually did what she's accused of. Since we sort of know she used in the US, I don't have any confidence she didn't do it. Seems like Russia would have a lot of motivation to take a US celeb prisoner just before launching an invasion, though. But then that whole invasion didn't go as planned. Which means nothing else has for them. So I can't get really impassioned about that part of it. And I don't believe anything I can do as an individual will influence what happens next. I know I can't change minds here. But as a WNBA fan, I've read several articles that came out before many people knew about her situation, and they give a lot more insight into why she might brought illegal drugs into Russia. Being an athlete in their leagues, especially a star like Brittany Griner, typically allows you some leeway. It is similar to being an athlete in the US. If they catch you with some pot somewhere it's illegal, you're probably not going to jail like a typically citizen would. I'm going to assume that as long as you partake in your own residence, they have previously looked the other way. And she has been playing for that league for several years. She has gotten used to that status quo. Then, the war with Ukraine broke out. Suddenly this isn't the same country she entered and has played for over the last few years. She is just trying to get home to her family, and without warning that tolerance is gone. Sure, she knew going in that it was illegal, and maybe she really did have it packed on accident. But it was also a huge shift in life as she knew it. Because she has constantly preached that America sucks. Yet all of a sudden she's begging for us to help.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. TooAfraidToAsk is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.